Hey there, welcome back. Now in this lecture, we are going to write views according to our new URLs. That means we have a specific condition and we are going to utilize them. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to comment them and I'm going to use these new ones. These new ones. Yep. So I'm going to use them and this is going to be the URL pattern that I want to follow. The next thing is I have these names. So I'm going to utilize these classes itself. The first thing I'm going to do is here I'm going to use stream slash I have some ID slash review. That means I need all the reviews for this particular movie. Okay, and the second one is I have stream slash review slash this PK ID. So this should work directly. This should work fine right now itself. So if I try to access any review right now with this URL pattern, it should work fine. Let me jump here, try to refresh this one. I should get error. Yeah, it's working fine. So I should get error here, and if I try to use this one, I need to give a specific ID. Yeah, this is working fine. So that means our detail is working fine by default because we don't have to do any change. We just need to use this ID itself. This is fine. We are using this ID and we are getting the specific review here. Our detail one is working fine, but this should get an error. So if I try to access stream my movie, then review, stream my movie, which is let's say movie number 1, or let me try to find this 4. So movie number 4 slash review. Now here you can see I got 2 reviews, and if you look again, I got review for movie number 1 as well as movie number 4. So I think I got all the reviews by default. If I try to add a new review here, maybe 4-star, new movie, let me call this as movie title, and let me select movie as this PHP. Save, refresh this one. You can see on my page I'm getting complete list. And the reason is because of this query set. And here the problem is we need specific reviews for this movie ID. So what we have to do is we have to remove this query set and we need to overwrite it. By default, they are accessing all the reviews which we don't need, and we need for this particular movie ID. So what we can do is now here we can create a get query set method. This is going to take self, and remember we are overriding our current query set. So if we have something here, we are overriding it. So let me comment this one. Yeah, so I'm going to add a new return statement here. The first thing I'm going to do is to access my primary key. So I'm going to use self, and then I need to use my keyword argument because everything is going to be inside here, and then I'm selecting my PK. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select this primary key and then I'm going to select my review, specifically where my watch list is this ID. So I'm going to use a filter, and instead of this PK equals to PK, I need to select this watch list, and I'm going to return this object. Instead of returning all the objects, I am going to filter my object according to the movie, because we know this ID is our movie, that is my watch list. So I'm going to select this here, filter this out, and I'm going to return this. Let me save this here, get back. Now if I refresh, you can see I got review only for my web list 4. Yeah, web list can be a good name for my model class, but I think watch list is fine now. Let me try to add again. Let me try to add a new review here itself, or we can add on this page itself, because if we are adding any new review here, I'm going to add it to ID number 4. Remember this. Or I can create here, but I need to again override it because I need to add it for my ID number 4. At this point of time, if I try to add a new review, I need to pass this watch list as 4, but I don't want to do that. I want if someone visit this link, they can directly add a review. That's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, instead of using this list create API, I'm going to call this as list API only. So I'm going to remove the post method here. Yeah, post method is gone. Now it is going to show me all the list for this specific watch list. And this is going to give me detail of individual review. So if I have this review slash maybe 2, I'm going to get options for retrieve, update as well as destroy. Now I need to create a class or specifically a link where I can create review. I want to create review for specific ID directly. So if this ID is for my movie 1, I should be able to create review for movie 1 directly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this URL and I need to add it here. And here I can use a name as review-create. Let me take this on the upper side. Yeah, this looks fine. So this URL is better. Here I'm going to use review-create. We need to write URLs at the end, but since we are discussing the pattern, discussing the structure, I'm writing it here. Now if I jump back, I need to create a class and I'm going to call this as review create, and then I need to import a generic, and here it will be, instead of mode mixins, I need to use the right class, create API view. This looks fine. Now here the important thing is we need to override the current function. Why? Because I need to pass this specific movie ID. If you look, I need to pass this specific movie ID. This movie ID. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first get my serializer itself. And remember, the error is because we have imported this in our URL without creating our review class, review create. And here I can write the create method using perform create. Yeah, so we can use this perform create to overwrite our create method. So if I jump back here, let me see if this is here. Yeah. So whenever we are trying to save a new object, they usually call this perform create. Whenever we try to update any instance, they usually call this perform update. And whenever we try to delete anything, they usually call perform destroy behind the scene. So what we can do is we can utilize this power definitely. And then here we can pass our own requirement. Usually people don't follow this one because this is pretty typical. I can say this is pretty hard to understand. But once you get this concept is going to help you a lot throughout your programming journey, because now you have created 3 different URLs in the form of API. Here, suppose you have a e-commerce product. Maybe let me open Amazon. Let me open this product. So here we have this e-commerce product, and here if I scroll down a bit, the first thing is you can access all these review information because of this list API. That means you get specific item, your movie here in our case, but here with your specific item you get all the reviews. That means you get all the reviews here because of this link. And the next thing is you can create a review directly submitting to a new link. So if I click on write a review and if I post a new review, I'm going to send request to this link. So everything is handled differently. And if I open any review, maybe let me open this one. Specifically, if I open this review, I'm going to send a request to this one. So we have created 3 different services. I hope you got the idea. We have created 3 different links to operate this process properly. If I just jump back, on the top they are also calling several different other APIs. So maybe they are calling this API to get detail of a particular product. You get the idea, right? So that's how a website is working behind the scene. This will help you to understand each and every endpoint. So if some user is not even interested to write a review, we are not going to call this API. Or maybe if some user is not opening, that means any individual review, we are not going to call this. We are only going to call this list method. I know this one was typical heavy loaded subject, but this is going to work a lot for you in future. Now let me get back here. So what we are going to do is inside our perform_create, the first thing is I need to also use my serializer. So if you jump, I need to import my serializer as well. Now inside this, what I can do is I can select the primary key first. So I'm going to utilize myself. Then I have all the information inside my keyword arguments, and all I have to do is get my primary key. Yep, once I have access to my primary key, I need to get access to this particular movie. So if my PK, if my primary key is going to be 1, this is going to be my URL actually, yeah. So if my primary key is 1, that means I'm going to target to movie number 1. I'm writing a review for movie number 1. So let me select my watch list here. And here I'm going to select watch list dot, I'm going to find that movie actually. So here I'm trying to find the movie, and once I find the movie, I'm going to store this here. Then the only task I need to do is when I'm saving my serializer, I just need to define my watch list is equals to this object. That's it. You can call this as movie also because now we have information about this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this method. Okay, this is working now. So I'm going to call this method, and this one is going to be our watch list. So we don't need to enter movie name manually. This is going to help you a lot. So when we call this post method, behind the scene, this is going to be called, and we are going to select this PK, this primary key, which is 1, and we are going to find which movie is on position number 1. So if I jump back here, and if I go to watch list and try to open this one, the movie 1 is Python 3.9. So behind the scene, it is going to select that movie, and while saving our serializer, we are going to mention this watch list equals to this particular object. I hope you got the idea. You can call this as movie, watch list, whatever you want, but make sure you understand the concept. So let me refresh this one. Now here you will see that HTTP 405 method not allowed, because when we are sending our GET request to this link, it is not allowed. Only POST request is allowed. I'm not going to fetch anything here. I'm just allowed to send a request in the form of POST. Okay, that's work well. Let me write a review. Let me rate 5 star, and I don't need to pass this one. Watch list, I don't need to pass. Also, make sure you remove the comma at the end, because in JSON, after lost object, we don't need to add a comma. So I just need to give 5 star for this particular movie, and let me add a description. Again, a great movie. Active, let me take it as true. And let me send a post request here. And here we got an error. I strongly recommend to pause this lecture and see why we are getting this error. Just think about it, why we got an error while submitting our review. Everything is right. So we have our URL in which we are selecting our primary key. In our view, we are selecting the movie or the watch show that we have selected, and then while saving, we are passing this. So why we are getting this error? And the reason is, in our serializer, we haven't excluded it. That means in our serializer, we have mentioned all the fields. So if you jump here, we have mentioned all the fields. So I need to exclude one. I'm going to comment this one right now. And here I need to exclude my watch list. So I don't want to include this list directly in my serializer. So in that way, I can exclude it from here, and this is not required. So once I refresh this one, I got an error. Okay, there is some mistake. Okay, I need to add a comma, otherwise it's not tuple. Yep, if I refresh this one, now you can see the watch list is not required, and I can submit a new review. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a review, a great movie, and I'm going to say new. So we can identify it. If I submit a post request, you can see we have created a review. And if I jump onto my admin side, go to my reviews, you can see we have created a new review, which is Great Movie New. I hope you got the idea of what we are trying to do. So that's it. That's how we are going to utilize this important new method, which is perform_create. Now this is pretty important because in future we are going to create our own methods, and this is going to help us a lot. So once we get all the information, maybe we want to do anything else, we can do it here before submitting our serializer, before saving our serializer. At the time of serializer.save, we are passing our watch list. In this way, we have submitted which movie we have selected. I hope you got the idea. So that's it for this lecture. Now in the next lecture, let us discuss more features as well as few other concepts. Thank you for following, and I see you guys in the next one.